right, here we go, guys. Monday Fun Day. Welcome in. It is another stellar edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show. It is powered by WagerTalk.com, and doing a little test run here as we are coming to you, I believe, live right now at WagerTalk TV on YouTube. So I want to welcome you guys in. It is now January the 6th, 2020. I want you guys to, I want that to percolate for a second here, Finn. It is 2020 right now. That is right. The year is 2020. He is Tony Finn at WagerTalk, of course, on Twitter. WagerTalk.com. You can get him, and joined by the always reliable, just a few minutes late from time to time, but we love him anyway, Rob Veno. SportsMemo.com. That's where you can get these two gentlemen, and NBA is what is on our mind, guys. And I got to tell you what's on a lot of people's minds. Tony Finn, they got problems with the Clippers, from what I understand, man. Problems. There's a lot of problems going on there, and they're not happy. They're worried. What do you say to that?
Well, I guess I would ask who's worried, and, who's causing the problems?
Yeah. Well, I think the 130, what was it? The 130 they gave up to the Knicks is probably a problem. I guess getting their asses whooped by Memphis could be a problem. Some might consider that a problem, including guys like Montrezl Harrell, Rob Veno, who are continuing to tell the world that they are not a championship team yet, that they're working on getting there. I don't buy it. What says you?
Yeah, motivational, I guess, Joe, to show up every night, which the Clippers didn't do the last couple of games, really. You talked about the Memphis game, and then the Knicks put an offensive onslaught on them yesterday. They're lucky to get out of there alive, but he did. I believe that was, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was, we're not a championship team yet. And like you say, I don't know that I would agree with that. I think that's more motivational to try and show up for all 82, but we know from the words of the great Charles Barkley that nobody in the NBA plays all 82 games the same way, and when you have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, there's going to be nights where you might put it on coast mode, especially against those two opponents, right? Mm-hmm. You think you can just roll out the balls and beat them, and maybe a little bit frustrating for Harrell, who's an Energizer Bunny type of guy. He just never seems to slow down. No, he doesn't. And,
another team that things continue to roll for there, Tony Finn. How about the Miami Heat now? At home? You think there's a little home cooking going on there? Because they don't want to seem to lose at home now, cranking their record up to just one loss on the year now.
I don't believe that Miami, I don't know about you guys, I don't carry a big handicap, or at least I don't issue them a larger handicap for playing in South Beach as opposed to being on the road. Obviously, standard road home dichotomy as far as handicap goes, but it's just coincidence, right? I think they're that team, and they're able to play that way on the road with the depth they have. We've talked about this, guys, with the depth they have, and they have guys who are fairly hungry. Again, I'll say this again on air, live, and that is, if you ask the common weekend warrior, somebody who doesn't really even watch the NBA until, April, May, June, the end of the season, the playoffs, ask them to name the front court, and I'll bet you they can't do it.
Interesting. Not a lot of faith there, but I will say this, the strip clubs in Miami, really by far, South Beach, some amazing stuff for, let's say, a team, I don't know, from like OKC, who doesn't often have access to places like the 305 in South Beach. So I'm just saying there might be something to that, because it definitely happens during baseball season. I can assure you of that.
I'll assure you that there's plenty of strip clubs in Oklahoma.
Yeah, but they don't have teeth. It gets a little. Yeah, I mean, these actually have.
Here, I can already see the drive-bys. I can see the freaking Twitter drive-bys already.
I'm just saying, and they're not all related here in Miami. Yes, I'm sorry, Rob.
I could assure you guys that Jimmy Butler went to South Beach just to play dominoes in the park with some Cuban guys. So he's not real interested in those strip clubs. And he didn't even play yesterday, and we got a win out of him. So
that's correct.
Thank you, Miami Heat.
Yes, and Dragic is a pimp in his own right. So we're good to go here, people. We are here to go, all right? We are here to bring you this kind of information you're not going to get it anyplace else. I promise you. Tony Finn, Rob Veno. Guys, let's dive in. 9 games on the slate here tonight. Let's make people profit like we've been doing all year long, all NBA season long. We will start, guys, with them damn Brooklyn Nets like a bad rash. They won't go away. They find themselves in Florida, in Orlando, in fact, taking on the Magic. 4.5 is what it opened up with, guys. I'm seeing 5s across the board. I'm seeing a little tick up in the total. Opened up at 211. I'm seeing 212.5s, 212s in a lot of places. So, Tony, I'll start with you. We are looking at 2 teams that made the playoff last year. Is that correct?
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how interested, based upon their play, they're about making the playoffs this year, but it's an interesting matchup here. Orlando, we've said it a million times, different team at home than they are on the road. Are you buying Orlando in this spot, laying 5 points?
Me?
Me? Yeah,
you know.
Listen,
this is too many. I don't care who Orlando's playing. I know I've talked about Orlando. I've praised Orlando. I've given them a few butt slaps. I like Orlando defensively, but they're not going to speed up for anyone. I think this totals. I don't understand the tick up, and I don't understand the 5 points. Brooklyn struggled a little bit recently. They've lost 5 or 6 or 7, whatever the case may be. However, this is still a talent. I like this Brooklyn team. They have they have issues. They have some issues, but so does Orlando. I would be on the dog and under in this contest if I was playing it. I'm not. Just so you know.
If. Oh, that's a big if. Rob,
well,
I will say this, and to Tony's point here, very hard to, I guess, consider a team a contender when they are the lowest scoring team in the NBA, which is what we have right now in Orlando. So I want to back them. I think they've got some guys that can play. Jonathan Isaac, a guy that a lot of people have been counting on. What is he, 12 points per game? I mean, he's out at least until, March? So they've had some health issues, but you can't score, you can't win in this NBA, not in 2020.
Yeah, no, and it's by design with them, really, Joe. I mean, they're one of those teams that wants to play defense and win with defense. And, if we can beat you 102-98, that's our goal, really. We're not looking to get to 120 like so many other teams across the NBA right now. I think when we were last on Friday, they were hooked up with the Miami Heat in the second of back-to-backs. And at that point, both power forwards were, I think Isaac was definitely out. We were wondering about Aaron Gordon. Well, he did go.
Yes, he did.
And they did beat Miami in that contest, but they came right back and got slapped by Utah the next night. That was a tough spot for them. Utah, Tony's favorite team, is on a pretty good roll at this point in time, playing very good basketball. For Brooklyn, Karis LeVert came back into the lineup after a 24-game absence, put up 13 points. Didn't help them. Toronto won big, but LeVert's going to take a night of rest here. Just wonder what that in and out of the rotation would do to the Nets. You try to get accustomed to a guy, then they take him out, then he's going to come back in. I don't know that it'll have a big effect. I don't necessarily have a real good read on this game. I would have liked it better had Orlando played Utah better on Saturday night, because then maybe I could have leaned towards the Nets with the points. But here, I think it's a pass game, guys, and I really don't understand the tick up in total up to 213. I don't think I could play it above that number.
Trend, guys, you may be interested in. Favorites, 9-3 against the number in the last 12 between Brooklyn and Orlando in this head-to-head series. And, of course, Orlando at home laying 5 here in this matchup. So we'll switch the game, guys. Let's head over to Charlotte, in fact. They're going to be hosting the Indiana Pacers. This game opens up Indiana laying 5 on the road. Pretty steady, guys, throughout the day. I'm seeing still 5s in many places. 209.5 a total. I'm seeing down to 208.5. So, Tony Finn, talk to me here. Charlotte Hornets, which team shows up? Pacers, been dealing with an injury or two here or there, but what do you like in this game? Do you trust Charlotte at home to get the job done?
What do we do? Let's help me with what you've heard as far as injuries go.
Brogdon is out, from what I understand.
I know. I've been chasing Brogdon now this whole time. They're not the same team without Brogdon. As good as this team is, as good as this team can be, and as excited as I am to see them with Victor, a healthy Victor, in the lineup, and Brogdon, they're pretty. Without Brogdon, they've been inconsistent. We talked about this middle of last week. Some of us liked Indiana on the road. Some of us didn't, and they've failed and they've succeeded depending on who they've been playing. This is the situation here. This isn't that big a number. Mm-hmm. I think it's a fair number for playing a team, Charlotte, who can go into a shooting slump in any second. They have a second-year guard that was fabulous early on in the season. We're talking about Devontae Graham from the Kansas Jayhawks, but they've regressed some since early on. They've as a team, when we were on last week, they were on a 5-game slump where they were shooting about 29-31% from the floor. That's not going to beat anybody. That's not going to beat Cleveland. That's not going to beat GS. So in this situation, and I'm not on this game. I haven't released this game. I passed immediately on this game once I found out Brogdon was out again. I want to wait for Brogdon to get back unless something pops up and a number just grabs my eye or it's way off my power rankings. I would lay 5 with Indiana tonight in Charlotte. It's time for them to some of the reserves step up and play a little better, and they have the talent to do such.
It's interesting, Rob. I mean, Hornets probably coming into this game with a lot of confidence. They've won back-to-back games. I think they took on Dallas, right? Took them to overtime, but ended up getting the job done. Meanwhile, the Pacers' defense giving up at least 116 points in their last 2 games. And to Tony's point, listen, defense had better show up here because we've seen Charlotte be able to pour it on, especially at home.
Yeah, and let's just zero in on Malcolm Brogdon and what the results have been since he's left the lineup, guys. 5 games out, right? 2-3 against the spread, 1-4 straight up, and the total is 4-1 to the over. All makes sense when you're minusing Malcolm Brogdon from the equation here, and against a team with a backcourt that is probably the strength of your team in the Charlotte Hornets, right? Rozier and Graham. You're going to need that perimeter defense, and right now Indiana, like you said, Joe, giving up a lot the last 2 games, but it's been over the total 4 or 5. I tried Indiana Saturday night, guys. They were in the same exact point spread situation on the road against the Atlanta Hawks, minus John Collins. And guess what? Trae Young lit them up. Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if Graham or Rozier has a big game here. It seems that point guard position defensively for the Pacers is a problem right now. Maybe, if Charlotte wasn't so inconsistent offensively, I could easily see this one getting over 208. The number there, that's a fairly low total in 2019's, 2020's NBA. And they've been better. I mean, you talked about the Dallas game where they went up into the 120s, but I don't know that I can trust them enough. If I had to play here, that would be my side. I would go ahead and play this game over 208 or 208.5, whatever it is.
I'm leaning that way as well. Indiana, Charlotte, by the way, guys, trend to know in this game. Home teams have won 5 straight in this head-to-head series here. 5 straight for the home team between Indiana and Charlotte, guys, which, of course, will bring us to another very interesting game here. How about the Oklahoma City Thunder, Tony, taking on the 76ers in Philadelphia. Outside of Miami, Philly just brutal at home. Very hard team to crack at home here. They open up as a 6-point favorite. That's been pushed to 7.5 in a lot of places. Total is kind of bouncing back and forth. Opened up at 213. I'm seeing 212, 213, back and forth in this one. Listen, Oklahoma City Thunder are playing well. There's no doubting that. Are they playing well enough to be able to go into Philadelphia and take down the Sixers?
Well, the Sixers have lost 4 in a row, have they not? Is that what their number is right now? 4 straight losses?
Yes,
is that
lost
correct?
4 in a row.
Okay.
That's correct.
I expect them at home tonight against a team that I think they match up pretty well against in OKC. And Mr. V and I both liked OKC last week. We cashed on them once. It was a little different situation, I think. It was against San Antonio, I think, wasn't it? So I don't remember.
Yeah. It was.
Then being in Philly, where Philly plays their best basketball, this is a situation where I expect Philadelphia to be all hands on deck and playing pretty tough. They need to get back on track, and they typically, when they suffer some of these distracting road trips, this is when they get back on track. They get a team that they match up well against. This was a backcourt-driven OKC team, and I expect Simmons to have a big game. He's a mismatch for anybody at OKC, and I expect one of your favorite guys, of course, Embiid.
Yes.
To also have a pretty big game in the paint against I think middling and pedestrian front court.
Interesting. All right, so you're not buying the Thunder. You're buying. You think
I
Philadelphia is going to get back on track here tonight?
This is a spot where with the number as is, I think it's a fair number. I think that Philadelphia is a better defensive team, and I think that at home they will win and cover this game. I think they're a double-digit winner.
OKC playing some defense there, Rob. Veno, only 102 points they've been giving up here on average over the last 5. You play that kind of defense, you give up that many points, it's going to allow you to win some games here. Are you buying OKC in this spot?
I do like them, especially Joe. I wish we had our favorite pharmacist on with us today, because you and him could go back and forth, because, when you live so close to the Wells Fargo Center, as I do, and you get to hear all the chatter that goes on around Philadelphia. Joel Embiid had another whining attack over the weekend. I mean, he is just being burdened by the losing at this point in time. It's taking a toll on him. A guy in his mid-20s just can't take the losing anymore 4 games in a row. Somewhat motivational, I guess, in front of the home crowd tonight. Listen, the key for me with Philadelphia, guys, always is when they put their mind to it, because of the makeup of their team. They're so big, they're so athletic, and they have such length that they can shut opposing offenses down. We've seen them put the clamps on teams and make it real, real rough. I'm going to parlay that, Joe, to what you just said, because Oklahoma City is 6-1 to the under in their last 7 games, playing fantastic defense, and they're another team that can play really good on the defensive end of the floor when they have to. A lot of times it's after they get down by 24 points and they have to rally from behind, but regardless, they've been very good at keeping teams under 46% field goal percentage the last 6 of the last 7 games. This total to me is too high. I expect Philadelphia to come out with a ton of effort, somewhat situational because of Joel Embiid's little, tirade, and somewhat because Oklahoma City is a team that you can't just look beyond at this point in time. This is a legit playoff team right now in the Western Conference. Home game, I'm going to look towards under 213 here, guys. I think that the number's probably a little bit too high where total's concerned. We do see some 212.5s out there.
Yeah.
And is Noel playing? I think Noel may be out tonight for OKC.
He is. He hurt his ankle.
He is out. Yep, he is out. Also, trend of the game here, guys, to know is that listen, OKC he's done pretty well in this spot. They're 5-1 against the number in the last 6 versus Philadelphia in this spot here. So, also want to send a shout out to some of the folks here as we are coming to you live on WagerTalk TV here for the NBA Tip-Off Show. Big shout out to Nas Green joining us. He likes Philly in the first quarter. Which we have seen, of course, them at home. We've seen them dominate in that situation. The Dank Kid, man, welcome in. He also back in Sixers in the first quarter. And I would dare to say, Finn, that they need to get out into, coming off a 4-game losing streak. If they don't have enough motivation for this one, I don't know what is. I expect them to come out swinging as well.
I just like this. I like this matchup. And I'm not a big. I don't chase Philly. I typically fade Philly, especially on the road. But in this situation, I like them.
Love it. All right, let's go on. Next game here, guys, on the card that we will take a look at. Streaky. I don't know what to make them. Denver Nuggets taking on the Atlanta Hawks, guys, at home. Now, this is a total that continues to rise. Opened up at 220. I'm seeing 223s now across the board. But I see the money going towards Atlanta. Denver opened up as 8.5. I'm seeing 7.5s, even a 7 or 2 out there. So it appears somebody likes Atlanta to keep the ball rolling here. And, Tony, I'll start with you, man. What do you think about Atlanta's shots here? Getting 7.5 points. You trust them in this spot at home to be able to get it done with Trey?
Well, I don't trust Atlanta ever. Ever do I trust Atlanta. There's certain situations where if they're getting a big enough number that I trust and I trust them to, do all they can to keep the score close, to stay in touch with the other team. However, this is one of those teams. I'm very big, and I know defense isn't a priority in the NBA any longer. It's just not a priority, at least for most coaches. And we can name 10 of them. I know all of us right now can name 10 of them. In this situation, this is a bit. Listen, Denver's been really good lately, guys. Look at their straight up record. However, they haven't been a money making proposition against a number. So in this situation, this is one of those games where if you like Atlanta, if you like Atlanta to be able to score and outscore Denver, which is very possible, then you should be jumping all over this number. Denver's one of those teams that's not going to worry about covering the spread. We've talked about this as well too. I'm out on this game, completely out because of the number and because I'm preferring Denver against a quality team where if they're on the road they're getting a handful of points, or maybe if they're against a middling team they're just giving a field goal, and then I'm in. But on this, I'm out.
Too many points. And, Rob, listen, the numbers speak volumes. Nuggets 1-8 against the number in the last 9 meetings between these two teams. If anybody has had Denver's number, it's certainly been the Atlanta Hawks here. They've been pretty profitable to back against the Nuggets. And, listen, the Nuggets just got their asses handed to them. Embarrassing. What'd they give up, 128 points to the Wizards? Again, streaky, on, off. Do you trust Denver in this spot to lay that kind of points on the road?
Well, it's hard to do right now, Joe, point spread wise. I mean, we talked numerous times last week about how nice their straight up record has been recently, but in comparison, the against the spread record has been miserable. And, you just said 1-8 against the Hawks last 9 times. And if we go ahead and add on, they're 5-11-3 against the spread over their last 19, 5 covers in 19 games. Even though it's a winning team, I think they have the second best record in the Western Conference right now. So not covering numbers. The reason for the uptick in the total, I will, pat myself on the back a little bit for getting the best of the number early here. I think I got it.
Don't pull anything.
I got it. 220.5. John Collins this morning was listed as probable for this game. Sat out the other night. As soon as John Collins, that information became available, total went up. Money came towards the Hawks a little bit, not enough to be substantial. But the one thing about the Nuggets on this road trip, all 3 games have gone way over the total. They're 9-2 over the total their last 11, 6-1 their last 7, if you want to narrow it down a bit. And like I just said, you can narrow it down even further to 3-0 on this road trip over. So I can understand the move towards the over in this game. Michael Porter Jr., guys, somebody we really haven't talked about at all because he hasn't been worth talking about at all. Close to home, my youngest son covered him in high school in Missouri. He's a fantastic player. Through a lot of injuries, he's come out the other side now and is contributing. And that lineup, when you go through box scores, boy, it's deep once again.
Yeah.
Gary Harris Jr., healthy. So for me, I would think the over is still playable at 223 against the Hawks. But there's no way, like both of you have said, you could trust Denver laying points at this point in time. They may cover, but I'm not trusting them to do so.
Yeah, no, it's tough. And I want to send a shout-out to Abby Jackson joining us there in the chat room as well on YouTube, WagerTalk TV. Guys, welcome in. Abby's telling us that number 223, forget about it. They'll pass it in the third. Plenty of points here on the board tonight, they feel.
Glad to hear it.
And Trae Young is an odds killer according to Ninja Chris, and amen to that, man. Atlanta +8. Naz Green also, he's going to take Atlanta in the points. You can still get +8 out there, 7.5 in a bunch of places now too. But I can see that total going up in no time here, guys. So welcome those of you joining us in the chat room, guys. Thanks very much. As we have another edition here of the NBA Tip-Off Show powered by WagerTalk.com. He is Tony Finn. That is Rob Veno. Rob Veno at SportsMemo.com. Tony Finn at WagerTalk.com. Of course, plays are up there, guys. I believe it is a $9 Monday in both spots. All you got to do is head over there. All plays available to you guys for $9 right now. Everything up on the board with these two gentlemen is available, and I cannot wait to hear what Tony Finn has to say about this next game because, guys, we are seeing the needle move. And it's interesting enough because the needle is continuing to move in an interesting direction. The Utah Jazz are on the road taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. This opened up as Utah laying 2, but we're at -4 now, guys. But the total, we kind of got it swapped here. The money's going to Utah, but the total's coming down. Opened up at 223, guys. We're already at 219, and it looks like we'll continue to go that way. More and more money coming towards Utah. Do you like Utah on the road in this spot, laying 4, Tony?
I do. And you know that I'm not always keen on laying a number with Utah on the road. I like them at altitude. I like what they've done since December rolled around. They were a little sluggish in November. The fact they struggled, you guys all know they struggled early on, and we wondered what was wrong with them. They've done a great job of adjusting without Conley, at least when he was out, and they have improved. They've done some rotational work. At least Snyder's done some changes to get more production, more net plus minutes from his second unit. That said, we all know the Pelicans. We all know that they need some motive. They really need a kick in the butt to play the way they're capable of playing. A lot of young guys, a lot of guys out of place. I still think this is a dysfunctional team. And if you put a good, technical, sound defensive team in front of them, one with a big that can protect the rim, which we know Utah has, and guards that can score, then they're an issue for the Pelicans here. I like Utah minus the number.
I get it, Rob. Listen, Rudy Gobert in the middle there, swatting people left and right. They have held now, I believe, 3 consecutive opponents to fewer than 100 points, including 81 against Detroit last week. So I get the number coming down, but Utah has been straight money. I mean, 7-0 against the number in their last 7 overall, 5-0 against the number in their last 5 on the road, and, of course, 5-0 against the number in their last 5 against opponents with losing records. Do you like them here on the road to cover this number here as it continues to rise from an opening of -2, and it's going to get to 5 before it's all said and done here?
Yeah, it's crazy, Joe, because I really liked them situationally Saturday against the Orlando Magic. Orlando was coming off the win against Miami. In comes Utah. But there was just no value mathematically in betting Utah. I mean, you come up with a power rating of Utah on the road -1, and then you see this thing sky to 4.5, and it just scared me too much to play Utah. It shouldn't have mattered to me because it was a situational play, and they went out and buried Orlando. Now, we have the same thing here. We have Utah, who really shouldn't be this high priced. It should be more in the 1.5, 2 range, but like you say, we'll probably see 5. New Orleans has been very hot as of late as well. 2 hot teams competing against one another. 4-1-1 against the spread in their last 6. And I don't know, if you guys checked it out the other night and what's been going on recently with this shot of Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball can shoot the basketball now, and it looks halfway decent coming out. It doesn't look ass backwards coming out of his hands. So Derek Favors, Joe, you pointed him out last week. Since his return to the lineup in the middle, it's been a difference maker for this squad. I like the way both of these teams are going. The only thing that scares me off a little bit.
By the way, also, guys, no Drew Holiday. He's out tonight for the Pelicans, and Mike Conley continues to be a giant waste of money. But, yes, go ahead, Rob.
and he's important. Yes. I mean, we talked last week. Drew Holiday's filling a small forward spot as a shooting guard, really.
Dysfunctional, yeah.
But, when you're coming home that first game off of a long road trip, it can be, you think that because they're home, they're going to go out there and play well. It doesn't always happen that way. I could see New Orleans, a team that scored 112-plus in each of the last 6 games. I could see them falling a little flat here to a team that's just as hot as they are, if not hotter, and they're just better personnel-wise. I just don't have the guts to lay the price.
Shout out to Dan Kidd, by the way. Definitely leaning Utah. Loves it. Ninja Chris going Utah all day long in this play here. And shout out also to Tina joining us, who has already got our shits and giggles parlay lined up. She's going GS and Charlotte moneyline parlay. We'll get to that in a minute there, Tina, but welcome in, guys. Thank you very much for stopping by and hanging with us. And I'll give you one more game here, guys, because I think we're all in consensus on that. It's Utah or nothing, really, at this particular point. But what are we doing with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Spurs here, Tony Finn? I'll start with you. Opens up 7.5. Milwaukee's on the road in San Antonio for this game here tonight. The total, 229.5. I'm seeing 228.5, kind of bouncing back and forth. I'm seeing 7s, though, because somebody's got to be Somebody's betting San Antonio here in a number of different places. I mean, you tell me, are you a believer in San Antonio at home to get this job done against Milwaukee?
No, I'm not. In fact, I think we've talked a little bit about that Pop has done. He's made some scheme changes per se. This team is playing a little bit differently than he asked them to play in November, and they were miserable. They can't defend the perimeter. They do a very poor job actually defending the paint as well. They are arguably the worst defensive team that I've ever seen Coach Pop roster. Now, that said, it's also the youngest team he's ever had, at least, and they're going to be that first team in 17 years not to be part of the postseason bracket, and Coach will get a little longer off season. But there's rumors. Just throw the rumors in there, right? Bill Self leaving Kansas because he's gotten in so much trouble going down to San Antonio, the coach, which is pretty interesting. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, but I find it pretty interesting. I'll tell you what else I find interesting, and that is. I typically don't trust Milwaukee on the road lane on big number. In this situation, the touchdown, I think, is a fair price for a team that just can't defend. And as long as Milwaukee stays focused for 4 quarters, they win this game by 15. The question is, as we discussed in the first segment, or at least the first few minutes of this show, and that is teams have a tendency to get distracted. We're getting close to, that kind of a call it the rookie wall, whatever you want to title or label as you approach the All-Star break, or at least get close to it. Players are a little weary. Legs are weary. Rookies don't play this many games. They've already played a full season of college ball. I like Milwaukee here. Not only do I like Milwaukee, but I like the over.
He likes the over, too, as well, creeping right around that 229 mark. I mean, listen, Rob, this whole we got a home and home happening right here. San Antonio, to their credit, they were competitive the entire way Saturday night against Milwaukee. They ended up giving way 127-118, but listen, they're not very good on the road. I mean, let's face it, 4-11 so far this season. The Bucks, the Greek Freak, still hurting a little bit with that back issue. He is probable tonight. But the Spurs are 6-2 against the number in their last 8 against teams with winning records. So they're also, and here's a big one, 6-0-1 against the number, coming off a loss. So they kind of fit that mold in that spot. We've seen Pop get these guys to come back after a loss and at the very least get us a cover here, man. Are you trusting them to do that here in this spot?
It'll be interesting, Joe, because like you say, this is a quick turnaround. This game was just played, and the point spread and the total are both right in line, right? If it was 12 the other night and it's 7 here tonight, different venue that favors San Antonio. Total, I think the other night was 228. Here we got 228.5. We're right in that same vicinity. They crashed right through that 228 the other night, hit 245. For Milwaukee, we always talk about how long they are rotation-wise and how good the quality of depth is. And when you add to that the fact that Eric Bledsoe is now back running the show at point guard, it paid off the other night. I think he came back New Year's Day, but it certainly paid off for them the other night. For San Antonio, DeJounte Murray was supposed to be the next coming at guard for them, and it hasn't happened this year. And he was out for the Saturday game. And from what I had read Saturday, it was expected that he would play tonight, but the deeper we get into the day, I still see this question mark next to his name. So I wonder if San Antonio might again be a hair bit shorthanded in that backcourt. The only way I could look at it, guys, because I think the matchup itself doesn't allow San Antonio to slow Milwaukee down. So San Antonio can go point for point when you have Aldridge and DeRozan. They may cover, but I think this one probably gets over once again. I just think that the styles of these two teams dictate a game that gets over 228.
I love that. Ninja Chris saying Pops has got tricks up his sleeve. The game it's an interesting spot there, but a couple of the other guys, Marcelo loves the over in this one, getting ready to rock and roll. So they're probably going to see some points in this game tonight, any which way we cut it. That, of course, 8:30 tonight, Milwaukee Bucks taking on the San Antonio Spurs. All right, guys, a couple of games that we did not get to, but you may include them in some of your best bets here tonight as we go around the room. Want to remind you guys, $9 Monday, and yes, if you're joining us, we did go live today here with the NBA Tip-Off Show. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Thank you very much to all you guys in the chat room for hanging out with us here, giving this a whirl, seeing maybe we'll do this a couple times a week. Maybe we'll start coming to you live if you guys like it. Either way, it's all about providing you guys the information that you need in order to make smart sports investing decisions in the NBA. And you got two guys here on the show better than most. So Tony Finn at WagerTalk, Rob Veno, sportsmemo.com. Both guys, $9, guys, Monday. Sportsmemo.com, WagerTalk.com. You know where you're going there. So I'll start with you, Tony. Talk to me. You got a dog on the card here tonight, or a possible best bet that you're looking at that you like?
I have a dog on the card, and I really don't have a best bet from a nice card. I do have a play. I did release a play, and I'll let that one stand on its own. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But I'm gonna break the mold and probably make you happy for your shits and grins. And
yes,
giggles.
shits and giggles. That's correct. Yes. What do you got?
I like GS getting the points
done.
against Sacramento.
I can't. It finally happened here, Vino. It actually finally happened. He's caved in, and he's back in Golden State. And I'll say the name because you're actually, you're backing them here. But
I'm getting double digits. I'm going to take them against Sacramento.
So D'Angelo, I believe Draymond is out for this one. Am I correct on this? All right, Draymond is out, but you think Sacramento is that much? They're hot garbage, is basically what you're telling me.
Well, if you can tell me when the last game you saw Sacramento play 4 quarters, play 3 quarters, and what are they, 1-8?
Yeah,
1-8 against the number last 9.
That's correct.
Laying points.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I've looked and made a call and talked to a buddy of at least one of my contacts that gives me intel from sportsbooks here. What was creating this number to tick up a little bit, and no one really. There was some sharp money that came in early on the over of this game when it was 211. Now it's up to 215 or 214.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it continues to rise there.
But I can't. We have dissected this GS team and the totals, and we all know that it's rare that we're going to play the Kings over. I know that.
Yeah. And by the way, I'll just throw this out here. Sacramento's on a 5-game ATS winning streak versus Golden State. Not that that means anything. A little different here, but I mean, Rob, we were just talking about the market overvaluing Golden State and always giving us these totals in the mid-220s and 230. We're like, what the? So now all of a sudden they come out at 211, and now it's being bet up to 215. So what gives here, Vino?
Yeah, I'm looking at a move downward here to 213.5 in one specific offshore. There could be some buyback going on. I think that's all that is. Mm-hmm. But, I'm going to combine with Tony. I mean, we didn't plan this out, guys, and for those of you watching live, but I am on the over in this game. Okay. And I think at this price here, 214 and whatnot, and it starts with a couple of games ago. They played the Memphis Grizzlies, who are a complete up and down the floor team. And in the second quarter of that game, it was a complete blowout at that point in time. Memphis was on a rampage, and all of a sudden, Sacramento went through a second quarter surge late, took the lead. It was a very high-scoring game, ended up 128-123, went through the number rather easily. I think it was Friday night, the last night we were on here. And after the game, our good friend De'Aaron Fox was quoted as saying, "We decided to push the pace. When we push the pace, we're a much better team." So I tailed on it for their next game. That game hit 232. I think that's where this sharp money is coming from. I think they see a change in philosophy here. A point guard who the head coach wants the entire offense to run through, telling everybody that we're a better team when we run. This slow down stuff doesn't work for us. So we may see a shifting here in totals with Sacramento. It won't take odds makers long to catch up, as long as these games keep going over. But I think at this price, as you mentioned, Joe, and with D'Angelo Russell back in the lineup, because you have to have both sides score here, but with D'Angelo Russell in and Draymond Green out, that's a pretty big addition of offense and subtraction of defense on the Golden State side.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and play it over. I think over, get the best number available to you. I think you can find some 214s out there and play this one up and over. And I'll give you one more because we talked about it early, and I really do like the way Denver's playing offense right now. So Denver, Atlanta, we pointed out all the reasons to play it over, but I think Denver, Atlanta gets up and over that total, 223.
Love that. All right, so what's left is our shits and giggles here, and I got to tell you guys, I like Charlotte at home here. I like Charlotte at home to be able to get the job done, and I like the over in that game, and I do like the under in the Philadelphia 76ers game here, too. I do like the way Oklahoma's been playing defense. We know defensively there in Philadelphia, and we know what they can do at home, probably cause some fits for this team. So I'll be back in the under in the Sixers game, and I'm going to take Charlotte to get the job done at home against the Pacers to upend Indiana, who is just not the same team at this particular point. So give me Charlotte money line. Give me the under in the Sixers for our shits and giggles parlay. Finn, what do you think? Good stuff. Appreciate that.
Touchdown.
Well, yes.
Touchdown.
Bottom line here, guys, $9 Monday, both at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. If I was, I'd just type it in and get there right now. Rob Veno at SportsMemo.com. He is Tony Finn, WagerTalk.com. Guys, plays are up, not just today, every day. Hope you guys enjoyed the live broadcast here today. Big shout out to Ninja Chris, Aaron, Edward, Red Scare, Anthony, of course, Lynn also, Tina Logan, Cole, all you guys. Thank you very much for spending some time with us here. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back. We'll be again here tomorrow, maybe live. If not, either way, you'll have all the information that you need. So, Tony Finn, Rob Veno, appreciate you guys. Good luck with your plays here, man. And we will, I guess we'll do this again, Finn, if you're out of jail in time. I guess they'll go ahead and let you back in. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll talk to my PO.
Yeah, let me know. Like, if you need somebody to pee in the cup, Rob's available. Rob, good luck with your plays, brother. We'll talk to you again tomorrow as well.
Thank you, guys. Good to talk to you. Tony, you'll never go wrong with my sample. You'll be in good shape. They'll let you out right away.
Yeah. As long as I don't have to watch.
Listen, you can have a sample, but I ain't taking it. Good luck with your plays, guys. Thanks very much. Make sure you subscribe. Get over to WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Good luck, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you tomorrow.